Alright, so, we played a few different variations of Grixis Alliance. In this case, Alliance refers to Improbable Alliance here. We played a more aggro-slanted version. We've played more controlling slanted versions. This one is kind of meeting in the middle of those two things, because some of the lower to the ground cards felt like they were underperforming. Notably, though, this build has 4 copies of Irencrag Pyromancer in the main deck, in addition to the alliances. So this deck has 14 ways to trigger our second draw consistently. Stormfist Crusader, Royal Scions, Rankle, and Nicol Bolas all let us draw a second card every single turn that they're in play. That allows us to make fairies or blast something for 3. So I'm interested to see how this more mid-range build feels. We're ranked 46 on the Mythic ladder, so I think we're going to be sticking to constructed events for the foreseeable future. So we can get that qualification done in the first month here, ideally. And then next month we can have to just kind of screw around on the ladder. Yeah, you have a lot of just generically good cards in this deck. Sure. Are there any decks that run Yangling? Not that I've played. I think against turn 1 Mountain I'm in for another Bonecrusher Giant. Hey, Viper, thanks for the 4 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. And I think even though we're playing this card, I want to just go ahead and kill it. I don't want to, like, take damage from it. My opponent also has less cards in hand than we do at the moment, so I don't really want them to catch back up. We played Blue-Red Tempo as our modern deck this morning, Silly Cheese. Joshua, thanks for the 16 months. Tasmanian Bear, thank you for the 2 months. Hope everybody's having a great day wherever they're at in the world. Bonecrusher's ready. Want to make sure we play black sources for the next 2 turns. That way we can play Nicol Bolas on 5. I think I'm going to go ahead and just play this as a blocker. That's an excellent draw because it lets me cast Nick next turn without having to shock in a land. It'll be up on YouTube as always. We had two pretty good matches, and one that was a bit of a heartbreaker. I'm guessing their last card was not good. Lava Coil sounds great here. Disfigure sounds fine. Flame Sweep sounds wonderful. I think I'm going to trim my Stormfist Crusaders only because I'm bringing in Flame Sweep, but also because their deck's probably pretty aggressively slanted. I think I trimmed these Improbable Alliances because I'm trimming some of my extra draw, and Irencrag is definitely the better of those types of effects. Foulmire Knight, they probably don't have that many cards that are attacking me. Maybe I cut those and leave 1 Alliance in. That seems fine. I feel like that entire first game where we played out 5 turns was like faster than 1 fetch land on Magic Online. It's not even that Moto's ugly, that's the problem with it. It's just like the rate of play is just so glacial. It's so frustrating. So now I have to ask myself, I think I'm going to wait to play this out just because their deck's kind of aggressively slanted, so I don't really want to hammer my health total here with these shock lands. That's my opinion on having Lightning Strike in the format anymore. I think that's fine. I think rotating out which spells you have as consistent presences is more than reasonable. So I think I'm going to give him a turn with this time since I have the Flame Sweep. Lets me draw a card here. My opponent took 3.5 minutes on a Brainstorm last night. Pretty punished for not just going for it. So I assume we're losing Flame Sweep now. Yep. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna stomp this Crusader now. Oh, that's not the land I wanted. And then next turn we can go Crush plus Lava Coil, which is great. Kyle, thanks for the 14 months. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, I kind of like that red aggro looks different than it did in previous seasons. I felt like red aggro was too good for too long. It's nice to see other aggro decks popping up. I mean, even if they had Chandra here, it just like deals a little bit of damage, right? It's like not that big of a deal. So they know about Lava Coil, they don't know about Bonecrusher. Was that a good draw? Are you ready? Bonecrusher's ready! Bring in the pain. Bring in the pain. I think the Cavalcade deck is a little bit better than the the Steamkin red decks we've seen some people playing. But I'm also not terribly invested in either, so. You know, honestly, if they attack with this Knight of the Ebon Legion this turn, I might just double block. I think I'm okay trading both of these for this and their turn. Like, the amount of tempo this block buys me is huge. So, like, they get to trade their one card for two of mine, but, like, Bonecrusher already traded for one of their cards, right? Perfect. Yeah, and Chandra's a pretty sweet card in general. That card's gonna be pretty playable in other things through its duration in Standard. Rankle's not a bad one. That's also not a bad one. So they're going to trade a Grim Innate for a Bonecrusher Giant. Would not be surprised to see us both discard here. Yep. Oh. Oh, that's a good one.
My plan is crystallizing.
Thunk. Yeah, this one's pretty done. They were like kind of in it when they hit the Rankle, but the Irencrag Put them pretty far behind pretty quickly. Yep. Yeah, a lot of the... When I drew the running Bonecrusher Giants, it put us pretty far ahead. Yeah, Pyromancer in the creature matchups is really gross. And, like, in the non-creature matchups, it just, like, blasts their face very quickly, right? Like, an unblockable 3-ball every turn is a big deal. Yeah, it seems fine. Needs some lands, but we've got, like, 2 castables, and Stormfist Crusader probably drags us into some lands. Yeah, I have seen the Green-Red Phoenix decks. We played against a really interesting Teamer Phoenix deck yesterday that was playing Incubation Incongruity. Well then. We're in the mill bracket, but we won match 1. Starting my new job. Wish I could watch more live. I catch you on YouTube. Well, thanks for keeping me around, Caboose Man. Hope your new job's going well. I think I'm doing this and then just ending this like this. Ashiok mills a lot of cards otherwise. Yep. I'm always happy to look at deck lists that people link. Just throw them up in the subs Discord. It's the best place to get my attention. I think I'm rankling and trading Stormfist Crusader for Persistent Petitioners here. And I feel like we have enough cards in our hand at this point. But let's just both discard. They probably can't interact with this Rankle, so I'll discard my extra one. So if they have 2 Petitioners next turn, they get to mill us for 12. There are 42 cards in my deck at the moment. So I think my plan for next turn is Murderous Rider this Jace, hit them, make them discard a card. I'm going to play Stormfist Crusader at pre-combat, make them sacrifice a creature as well. Then we drew another Rankle that I don't need. So again, just kind of trying to grind them down on resources here. Why not play Scions there? Oh, you want me to have Rankle kill Jace? I think I want to basically minimize the chance that I get milled for 12. Because I think if they don't mill me for 12, they're just never winning. I think taking them down to one Petitioner is ideal. Now, this Ashiok is going to need to get Royal Scions down, I think. Down to 34 cards in our deck.
My sister by my side, I do not fear the un-
There is no virtue without bravery.
Although, actually, with this draw, I want to just hit them, right? That means I have them dead next turn. I'm just gonna like, no, nothing on this trigger. So they're dead. This build feels neat. We've got a bunch of interactive elements, but we also have some, like, really aggressive parts, too. Relatively aggressive parts. It's like, if we were playing, like, a full-on control deck, we'd probably be pretty helpless to someone trying to mill us out, because we wouldn't be able to clock them. Having Rankle plus Scions lets us actually kill them, which is great. Now, I'm pretty sure they're all in on milling us. They've not self-milled at all.
Strike fear into the hearts of the wicked.
Yeah, I could have Rankle draw a card, but that gives them potentially more resources. So Lava Coil kills their silly 2-drop. I think I trim Bonecrusher probably. Seems fine. Yeah, if I didn't draw Bonecrusher, that would have been a theoretical line, but again, giving them more resources means that if I'm increasing my clock, but giving them more resources while I increase my clock, that doesn't seem like a worthwhile exchange. Yeah, Bob wanted to see Alliance, dude. Like, oh, Bob told me to pick whatever deck I was having some of the most fun with right now, and I wanted to play the update to this. We played a bunch of Teamer recently, so I wanted to try some of my other favorites. So I kept the Murderous Rider during mulligans rather than the second Lava Coil, because my opponent also mulliganed, and their best way to come back from a mulligan is probably Jace. So Murderous Rider lets us deal with that. I had to pick one deck over the others. The Teamer Oko deck is my favorite competitive deck in the format right now. Scions plus Death Touch are great.
Our bonds were forged in battle. And there is no virtue without bravery.
Thunk. Still a 3/3. Sign me up. Yeah, I think I'm just killing them, right? We're just gonna like do this, hit you for 5, Bonecrusher you for 2, cast Bonecrusher. Hey, Immortal, thank you for the tier 2 resub. 42, Jeff. Answers to life's great questions. If only we knew what to ask. Thanks for keeping me around. Hope your Wednesday is going swell wherever you are. All right, sliding on up. So we've now played 2 matches in what would encompass playing 1 game on Magic Online. Yeah, you're definitely... I think I agree with that assessment, Spreading Seas. Like, we've got some good tools in the Golos matchup, but you also just, like, can't keep any hand. You have to look for hands that are explicitly aggressive. Yeah, I mentioned this morning. I think if they don't manage to address the fact that, like, Magic Online takes 20 seconds every time a game action happens now, it might finally be time to put that out to pasture for my content. Because, like, I definitely prefer Standard to Modern in general anyways. And having to put up with incessant lag on top of that is not great. Drawing a 3rd untapped land here is great, because the way Fabled Passage works, it basically gives us untapped lands 3 and 4. Look at how scary she is. So menacing. Perfect. Don't even have to take a damage now. Go. What prevents Botsy from hiring competent programmers to not make their programs lag? I would assume the issue is, related to, the almighty dollar. Rankle is pretty good here. I think I'm bidding Pyromancer. I need to draw an answer to this Rankle. Alright, that's pretty decent because it lets me play this and play another Pyromancer here. It's not AGH. So, like, that, in my opinion, that's the most frustrating part about Magic software being poor, is that Magic software being poor isn't even related to the fact that, like, Magic's an incredibly complex game. Like, the parts of these Magic products that don't work well aren't the rules engine part. The parts of these applications that don't work well are, like, the actual interfaces and stuff. Like, there's no reason the Magic rules engine is not responsible for the fact that, like, the collection editor lags when I open it, right? Those are 2 completely unrelated things. Historic is technically live on Arena now. Alright, so we're at 6, so we're kind of racing against our own Stormfist Crusader here, in a way. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and pump my Knight here. Well, if I pump my Knight and they kill it, I get in a lot of trouble. So maybe I just do this. Feels like they have a Murderous Rider of their own. So I think I want to just do this. Yeah, I'm excited to try Yarok. I'm excited to try Green Stompy. I'm excited to try Yarok, Green Stompy, Knights, Aristocrats. There's a whole bunch of things that are going to be sweet in that format. Really just looking forward to it as a whole.
Knowledge is the greatest virtue.
The courage to apply it. Fear is a tool. Use it.
Alright, if we don't get Questing Beast next turn, we'll be in a good spot. Do I try and play around Questing Beast by holding up Knight here? No, because... So, holding up... So, the problem is, if I don't play this out, I'm dead to a removal spell, because they just kill this, and then they attack with these two, and I die to this trigger. So, I think I'm supposed to play this out and not play around the second Questing Beast, because not playing this out dies to any removal spell, and they're more likely to have a second removal spell than they are to have a second Questing Beast. So, like, it feels bad to, like, play around the wrong thing there, basically, but the decision I made with the information that we had was correct, which is the only way you can look at situations like that. Magic's got a lot of variance in it. There's going to be a lot of games that you lose where you made the right decisions. Just how it works. Huh? Is Alliance actually not that good here? I think it's actually not that good here. I mean, even if they didn't have the removal spell there, my line's still correct because it plays around more things. Like, those are the percentage plays you have to make, right? Like, making correct percentage plays over a series of games is going to win you more games than it loses you, even if it does feel bad when you pick the wrong one and get kind of punished for it. Well, we would have killed them the following turns. We didn't really need the lifelink so much. This hand's a little slow. Can't keep it on the play. I might keep it on the play. I don't know. On the draw, I'd mulligan this. I'm going to keep this on the play, though. I think this is fine. Every land in our deck incoming, right? Or they're just going to go like Knight into Paradise Druid into Questing Beast and just slaughter us. I think it's definitely not great against their most aggressive starts, but I think it's keepable. There are 2 Nicol Bolas in this deck because I want ways to consistently trigger my draw second card effect. And Nicol Bolas is a great way to do that.
I lead the way, but my brother knows.
Let us plan for the trials ahead.
Coward.
What a coward. What a coward. Ooh, that's a decent draw. So we get to crush this, coil this. They have another Questing Beast out of hand with a land. We're a little bit sad, but I think this is the correct line. Just clean the board out. Morning, Kid Martin. Not only is there no point in thinning, but, what's it called? Getting, these are untapped lands later, which is ideal, so having untapped lands is good.
No is to triumph.
Huh? So... Do I just assume they didn't have a haste creature here? So do I play Nick and down tick, or do I Lava Coil plus Bonecrusher? I think I want a Lava Coil plus Bonecrusher because it gives me the higher probability that my Nicol Bolas gets to live. And in general, when you want to ask why, in my opinion, the best way for you to help learn why cards are good or bad is if you look at a card in my deck and you don't understand why it's there, try and posit why that card isn't good and articulate that. And if you can't articulate why the card's not good, that's probably because it's good and it's worth playing. Well, that was pretty unfortunate. Thoroughly dismantled that turn. We do have a removal spells of our own though, and a 4/3 in place, so maybe we just get to race them here. It turns out Bolas was dead regardless, but the flip side is if I would have gotten the Bolas into play, my Royal Scions would have stuck around, right? So there's that part of the scenario too. I mean, you can't be punished if you didn't make a mistake. So, like, if you have an argument for why not playing the Bolas on 5 was a mistake, sure, make it, but I'm pretty sure not playing the Bolas was correct. This card's super powerful. Having it in our mid-range deck feels good. Yeah, I don't know if I want to cut, if I'd want to cut Rankle. I think I'd probably trim a Stormfist Crusader before trimming Nikki B. Or before trimming Rankle. Rankle being an evasive threat is very powerful in my experience. I'm going to go ahead and attack with this before playing things out, because if they take this hit, both these knights get bigger, which is very good. Yeah, Nick in a deck that has some proactive elements to it has felt very good, very reasonable. It's also possible that we just, like, want a third Nicol Bolas in the sideboard for the games that are about mid-ranging. I could see that being very possible. Because there are a lot of matches in this format where, like, the grind that Nicol Bolas provides is not what the match is about. Looks like we're gonna get a game 3 here. Are they dead on board? They're dead on board, right?
Defiance has consequence.
So, to dissect your statement there, Frost Otter, you haven't identified a problem that we have that you're solving by adding more Nicol Bolas to the deck, which is, again, the best way to approach building Magic decks in my experience is to look at identify a problem, then try and create a solution for it. So, like, I would ask you, what matchup does my deck have trouble with, and how is that matchup made better by having more Nicol Bolas in it? Because in Magic, there's just so many combinations of cards that you can play at any given point. You need to have a fundamental way to narrow them down. So by identifying problems, you're automatically narrowing down a lot of the nonsense, basically. My problem is I don't have 4 Rankles. Yeah, and if you don't have 4 Rankles and you have a Nicol Bolas, like, that's a fine, reasonable swap to your shorter Mythic Wildcard, right? I think that's fine. This was both a request to play Grixis Alliance and also a request to play Irencrag in the main deck. And I think Irencrag's pretty reasonable in this build. Yeah, cheaper to get out. Scions also provide an aggressive slant, which is nice for us a lot of the time. Allow us to close games out. This format is, a lot of the games in this format are not, about grinding, they're about killing people ASAP. And Scions definitely kills people faster than Nicol Bolas does. Modern was blue-red tempo this morning. I'm going to lead on this. Could go either way. Hopefully we draw another land here, so that way we can play this as our untapped land on 4. But if we don't draw a land this turn, we did, because we're a professional. God bless. Gotcha, trying to understand, not criticize. So yeah, so when I'm asking you for more details like that, I'm not taking offense, Frost Otter. I'm just trying to get you to think critically. So if people just like spoon feed you cards good, cards bad, like you're never going to learn to develop card evaluation skills for yourself. So by like tasking you with like, hey, you should think about these things, you can eventually build your own good decks instead of just like depending on people on the TV to scream at you make good choices. Castle's interesting. I feel like we frequently don't have enough life for that to be relevant, though, is part of the issue. I don't need a third blue, so let's ditch that. They have Disfigure in their deck? They shocked this in. Oh, they probably have Veil of Summer, huh? Yeah, I bet they have Veil. Yeah, 3-color mana bases are not free. It's definitely the case. So, I'm pretty sure they have Veil. So I'm just going to go ahead and Swift end this now while they're tapped out. Because they can't Veil of Summer Lava Coil later. Because Lava Coil is red. We get Pyromancer online next turn, which is sweet. Unless they have a murder here. They could have a murder. Was there merit to shocking ourselves to trigger Ebon Legion? No, I don't think so. Our health total is pretty precious, and getting my land that has to be tapped into play is important, I think. Yeah, if they don't have a way to kill either of these, the game's going to be over very quickly. This is a must-answer threat if it's triggering every turn. Shocked and shattered. I wonder if it's crazy to have a sacrifice this turn. Like, they don't have a 4th land. Is it crazy to trade my Knight for their Paradise Druid? I feel like it's not. I think I'm going to have us discard and sacrifice. It's a little aggressive, but I think it's the decision. If they have a Murderous Rider, we're kind of out of resources, but we also just have more lands than them, so that might be fine. Yeah, like this, like that, that's an absurd draw, right? Is that the best draw on the deck, quite possibly? It's like thing, go. This literally just dies with this trigger here. So they were dead a couple different ways there. They were dead to this removal spell. They were also dead to us just dealing 2 to them. Bonecrusher is definitely. How was our match? My match was happy. We won, chat. It feels like the Alliance slots just aren't being used optimally. The Pyromancer synergy seems sufficient value from the second draw and merits keeping. I think another creature for those slots main would make us stronger game 1. Yeah, I think that's very possible, Buns. Like, maybe I just want Alliance for the matchups that are about grinding, which there are kind of few and far between in this format. It's felt pretty reasonable so far, Mr. Salmonella. I could definitely see, like, one of these could be the third Bolas, could be a third Bolas, maybe. They cost gold. If you're someone who's like, God, that's brutal. Yikes. This card's really good against us. Especially if you're someone who's free to play, the events are really good value. You only have to go 2 and 2 in the event to get your gold entry back, and you get some free cards with that too. And if you do better than 2 and 2, you make a profit on gold. If you're someone who's capable of getting to Mythic in a season, you should definitely be playing the constructed events. I think only activating this card on your turn is fine. And getting 1 thing per turn is plenty. As demonstrated by the fact that, like, this deck can't trigger it on the opponent's turns. So we've played the more controlling build where you can trigger it on your opponent's turn, and just, like, the more controlling builds just don't feel very good in the standard format. Why should you play the constructed events if you can get to Mythic? Because if you can get to Mythic consistently, you're probably going to have a 50% or better win rate in these events. So if you're someone who, like, gets to Mythic but doesn't really care to grind for top whatever, or you're doing that and playing extra anyways, playing the events is pretty good value.
My plan is crystallizing.
Yeah, I definitely like the Grixis Alliance builds the best. Like, having Murderous Rider is ideal. Yeah, that's basically what I did, Han Solo. We kind of met in the middle.
No sword can pierce my scale. Behold!
Let me synthesize the fact.
Huh? This is just gonna die, right? Yeah, so I think my plan here is Swift End this, Swift End Teferi, attack Sarkhan for lethal.
Now what?
Just end their entire career here.
Listen to them roar. Only human.
Just the trick of this.
Swing and a miss. Woof.
I'm known for my excellent timing. I've got time.
You are a mighty warrior. I I concede.
I will learn what nobody.
Not playing this out because I think they're getting to a point where they need to time wipe anyways. Same reason I'm not playing these out.
I've got it.
I mean, even if they bounced a token, Royal Scions could have given +2 attack, Dude Light. So they were getting got regardless. I'm really surprised they are not time wiping. Do they have like a... They have a Clarion here? Alright, I think I'm just cashing this in.
Ready, Will? Let us unleash our united strength.
Man, those were bad draws. Yeah, Dragon's gotta go, right? Otherwise I can't attack. I guess we're still kind of okay, right? So this gives this to the Death Touch creature, and then I get to kill their Planeswalkers again here. So I get to go this kills Sarkhan, and these three kill Teferi. Because if they block this here, the way First Strike Death Touch works, both of their creatures die. So they get to kill one of my 1/1s and I kill their Planeswalkers again.
We will meet again.
Yeah, that's true too. We did just like get through them, right, in a way? Alright, I think I'm just gonna play this to like try and force the time wipe here. Wow, they are like just determined to not time wipe us, huh? Alright, so this is the sweeper then, right?
Stay away from my brother.
Man, this card sucks for us.
For the realm. Put thoughtfulness before action.
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9. So next turn I can plus this. Oh, really? Huh? So you can't do anything else this turn.
Such violence.
This survives Chandra's down tick.
Let us plan for the trials ahead.
Yeah, like, they can play Chandra and Sarkhan this turn, but, like, is that good enough? Okay, so they're gonna have a sweeper then, I assume? Sweeper might get them out of this. For fuck's sake, yeah, that gets them out of it. Woof. I guess, does it? Like, they're at 10, right? Like, Planner Cleansing would have been a lot better here. They just not play Planner Cleansing? Yeah, they're dead, right? Like, this is lethal?
Back to training?
Well, cleansing killing fires would be good there for them because they'd cast cleansing for free and then they'd get to cast a planeswalker for mana. So planar cleansing would have been absurd there. Maybe they're not playing it for some reason. That's a game where Alliance was very good. We were talking about Alliance seeming kind of medium in the main deck. Definitely seems fine in that matchup, so maybe we just want it in the sideboard for that matchup. Yeah, killing your own fires is a good thing at a certain point. What do I want to trim here? Is it just Bonecrusher Giant? I think it might just be Bonecrusher Giant. I guess Giant finishes off Narset. But like any of my attacking things finish off Narset, right? Maybe I trim a couple of these just because all they do is help race. I didn't really think this is the worst of these two effects in this matchup, right? Yeah, let's just trim those. Yeah, I don't know. I'm super glad they didn't cleansing us, right? Looks like a mulligan. See, it needs a draw. I have red or black source, but it's pretty good if it does. I don't know, Salmonella. Maybe another Nicol Bolas, and then some other early plays. Have to sit and look at it.
Stand by and watch.
Hey, Roz. Good morning to you.
I got
We don't draw a land here. We did. Bless up. I'm doing swell, Mr. Hat. Moto was a laggy mess this morning, but at least it launched, I suppose. Glass half full. This is probably going to be a game we can't win. They run average with their fires from here.
No, I am not making this up as I go. Only time will tell.
You've definitely converted me to the power of questing beasts. I'm currently watching an AFK Golos field opponent salt off. Yep. Too much sodium's not healthy, chat. It's bad for you. Yeah, we're just too far gone at this point. Can't afford to miss land drops. When they have that good of a start. I think I'm happy with the other sideboard. Let's run it back. Fires on 4 is too strong. I mean, it's definitely strong when your opponent misses land drops. So, like, the fires on 4 is good because it generates you a lot of mana, so it just doesn't give your opponent room to stumble. Hey, Lacey Jor, thank you for the Brandy Prime support. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Hope you're having an excellent Wednesday wherever you are. And honestly, that's kind of a theme of this format in my experience, is that, a lot of the decks are pretty snowbally and it's hard to catch back up when you're behind. Did I ever end up putting together a Jund aggro build? I did. It's going to be the 4th deck we play today, in fact. So if you want to get a sneak peek at a deck list before it comes up, you can always find the decks we're playing later on stream in the deck queue on my website. I don't know that we have enough creatures to consistently trigger Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Bleed for our mana, chat. Reading is busted. Feels pretty bad. We're gonna get like Deafening Clarion Tear and just lose the game. Yeah, I elected to play out my Planeswalker because I wanted to not play another creature into the sweeper. But the fact that they had Veto in their deck that locks themselves out of casting spells on my turn feels pretty bad. Is what it is though.
Let's slow this down.
Been watching since I started in Guilds of Rav on the MTGA beta, release ready product. I thought I should earn my freedom of speech and support the channel courtesy of Bezos. Thanks for keeping me around. I do appreciate that. Yeah, Rider sounds good. Just gonna go ahead and do this and then kill this Tef.
Suppose that's how it was meant to happen.
Alright, all things considered, this is very good for us, right?
Call me magnificent.
It's interesting that they took a line that just leaves this dead on board.
Come on. A dragon does not lose.
We're gonna see a casualty awards again here. Yep. They could have a sweeper here, but I feel like I probably can't afford to play around that. So go. I don't know. Disdainful Stroke would have been a much better draw. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to build this Grixis deck. So they're dead. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm 1 point short right now. Currently 1 point short. Great. This is 6, 7, 8, 9. It's pretty unfortunate.
Listen to them roar. There is no
Maybe it's right to ignore Sarkin to leave them dead to a Bonecrusher off the top. Okay, they get 4 more looks at a sweeper here. Oh, they have the beacon anyways. Yeah, I definitely should do what I did.
Open mind.
That's not a sweeper. So are you dead? Oh, just had time wipe already? Sure. They had a lot of looks. Mystical Dispute. That's pretty good with fires in play. I think we're dead at this point because we drew a bunch of lands, but you know, is what it is. I don't think it's strange for them to have counter spells in their fires deck, so much as I think it's strange for them to have both in their deck at the same time. So like, I think it's fine to like have both of those cards, but like when you feel the need to bring the counters in, you should probably be pulling fires out. I'm not just giving my opponent cards though, Lay. I'm giving both of us cards, and I'm getting extra effect with the extra cards that I'm getting. They're not playing Red Cavalier Watercat. They're playing a Planeswalker build. I'd like to note that I just timed someone out there because what they did is never helpful feedback. They said, if we did this other thing, knowing that they had these things, we would have won that game. So, hindsight information is never useful and does not help you become a better Magic player. The useful feedback is saying, Jeff, this is why we could have made a better decision with the information that we had at the time. Because you can't make decisions with future information. You can only make the best choice that you have with what you currently know. And if you have a reasonable argument to construct as to why we should make a different decision with the information we had available at hand at the time, I'm always love to hear that. But just, Jeff, you made a bad decision because of future knowledge that you didn't have access to, and that's nonsense. It's not good. It's bad play. Bad decision making. Oh, can we just never beat that card? I feel like we can never beat this card. I mean, the temple doesn't even really matter here, right? I guess if I didn't have a tap land, we could go double Stormfist. We are definitely scared of the big bad wolf. That's aggressive. I guess the goose is just making them more food this turn. Yeah, these Oko mid-range decks just devour these aggressive decks. So the problem with the -5/-5 black spell is that it's only good enough for a very small window. Like here, drawing it doesn't even do anything at this point, right? I feel like my takeaway so far in playing this configuration is that this deck as constructed doesn't really feel aggressive enough to mitigate the downside that this Crusader presents. Yeah, Epic Downfall is a card you can play. The problem is that the decks that play Big Bad Wolf frequently don't have other good targets for it. So at that point, you're boarding in a removal spell to kill exactly one thing, and when they don't draw that thing, you end up stranded with a dead card in your hand, which is not great. I have been seeing it in sideboards, and it's pretty medium. They generally have at least Questing Beast, right? God, sometimes there's also the argument that, like, the types of decks that Big Bad Wolf is really good against, Questing Beast tends to be mediocre against. Like, I frequently trim Questing Beast in these aggressive matchups. For that reason. Hopefully we draw an untapped land next turn and then get to go 3-4 on curve. I mean, if you're looking for white answers, Prison Realm is still legal. Their start's slow. See if we can rip another land here like a professional. Hashtag never lucky. Get to use our mana this turn at least, so that's nice. So, I think I'm actually going to fetch a red source here as opposed to black source. And the reason for this is there's more black sources than red sources in my deck. And getting the red source allows me to play Scion, which allows me to filter my draws a little bit more. So the red source potentially helps me find more black sources. Well, that's a little awkward, especially with Nikki B being a draw there. I think we keep Bloodfell Caves over bottoming it, but a tap Black Source feels pretty medium as well. Nice pizza. Glad you're enjoying it. Wow, that's rude.
I'm good at what I do.
Vraska is really sweet. Super good against our cheap Planeswalker. Gosh, she ate the twins and then she had some left over to eat some food still too. Like a bottomless stomach. You guys say no blocks here because we're going to Murderous Rider this and then Bonecrusher Vraska. Ugh, do they have a Knight of the Ebon Legion too? Or a Goose? That's so unfortunate. Huh? I'm just gonna Rankle here and attack Vraska with both, I think. Vraska's okay in the current meta. We've got some of the Sultai Oko deck on my website. She's definitely a little bit medium. She's a little bit medium against like the Field of the Dead decks, but she's very good in these mid-range matchups that are about the 3-mana Planeswalkers. Good in like the Oko mirrors. Good against Scions.
The end's just
Sure, cannon fodder, but that doesn't leave me a Bonecrusher in play. So I chose to take a line that was a little bit worse against them having a 1-mana blocker for the potential upside of keeping my card around. Was the decision that I made. If that makes sense.
It's not often I'm outmaneuvered.
Rude. Can't block. Feels dead, man. These games did not feel. I guess this one's been kind of close. The first game we just got slaughtered though. Yeah, questing beast is the real MVP. I have no idea if they've announced their plans yet for the storybook cards or not. All right. I mean, if we draw a removal spell here for this, we can trade Rankle for this. And then, like, we're not that far behind. I think we're dead at this point. Hey, Penguin Power, thanks for the 5 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Any chance the party buffs can suck it? No, I don't have it built, Scholar. I usually don't do the build arounds until they're scheduled to be up. So, all in all, Irencrag feels like a very reasonable card in these draw 2 decks. Honestly, it almost feels... Irencrag feels better than Improbable Alliance in a lot of situations. My big takeaway from playing this build is I think this was my least favorite of the Grixis builds we've played so far. In large part just due to the fact that while this card's very good in the aggressive shells, it's arguably been the card for red-black aggro for me so far this season. This build in particular was not anywhere near aggressive enough to really leverage this card and mitigate the downside of it. So in the more aggressive shells, this card, we frequently kill the opponent before they're able to take advantage of the extra cards we've given them. And in this shell, we're just a little bit too mid-rangey, and our opponents were really able to take advantage of those extra cards as well, which ended up giving us a hard time in a lot of those games. So I think this core overall was a bit of a miss for me for that reason. So I think going lower to the ground with the Grixis aggro deck that we had played earlier this week, or going up over the top with the more controlling build that you can find on my website, are probably better places to be. So the problem with Pyromancer in the main deck of the control builds is that it just eats a removal spell and dies a lot of the time. So I think I'd prefer Irencrag to come out of the sideboard, but I don't know, if I was expecting like a lot of mono red or like a lot of Oko, I don't even know if she's even that good against the Oko decks, right? Because like they just Oko her is the issue. So, I don't know. I feel like out of the sideboard is fine in the control build like I have it configured, but I don't know that I'd play it in the main deck necessarily. All right, we actually have a second Grixis deck coming up next today. We have Steel Yo Grixis. We've got a 4 Claim the Firstborn, 4 Active Treason, and then some Witches Ovens here, and some Priests of the Forgotten Gods, and Rankle. So we're looking to take our opponent's stuff and then bake them into pies. We're basically trying to Hansel and Gretel people. We're going to go ahead and take a quick ad break before we dive